Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Noobs R Us GT4 Cup. This is race 3 at Snetterton. I'm your host, Jeremy Cubbage, joined in the booth by nobody. because Tanya doesn't want to join. James, yes, I will try and help you out and get everything set up. That's fine with me. Because I'd like to have you in the booth as well. With that said, hello everybody. Hello Jalal. Hello Sarvarius. I said that really bad. Malongo Man 45. Thank you for the follow. Drivers are finishing their practice. A couple more seconds left on that. Andrew was bragging about how fast he was, and now Ilpo has now beat him on the practice lap. So hopefully we'll see Andrew competing for a podium today. So that'll be great. In chat, we've got Nick Kanya, James Casaboon, two drivers from the recent 24-hour race that ended this morning, actually, while I was at work. I got to watch the last bit of that. They finished in 10th after lots of issues with ACC, but that's just ACC things. So these drivers should be finishing up their practice laps, and we'll get straight into qualifying. How's everybody doing? How are we doing, everybody? It's going to be a fun race today. We got 19 drivers on track. During the briefing, I was just stating that we seem to be getting more drivers as the series goes on rather than less. This is the most backwards little series I've seen so far. Usually a series starts out with like 50 people and ends up with 15, and we started with like 13 and now we're up to 20. So it's getting wild. You're sore. I heard you got hurt. This is race number 3. So yep, race number 3 at Snetterton. This is a track that we don't use very often. I think it's just because of how flat it is, and it's hard to gauge where you're at. The reason why we don't use it, because there's like almost no elevation gain, no other than knowing where you're at on the track. It's a really weird track. You can get lost really quick and easy. So Simon Tonkin finishing his practice lap as he just pulls off the side of the road. That's fine.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Drivers are starting their qualifying now. Drivers are just going to start driving out. There's no split qualifying, anything of the sort. We'll see people just leaving and getting their qualifying laps. It looks like we're going to be led by Austin Gerber. He'll be the first one to leave the pits. We'll make sure we have information on screen. You can see personal bests. I want you to see that. And their current live lap time. Maybe instead of a current live lap time, we change this to the personal best delta. We'll leave it like that so you can see if they're up or down. And that's the way we're going to run the qualifying today. Austin in that WRT car. A really fast driver. I'm excited to see how he does. I have to see. Andrew Casey was bragging about his times. Looks like he's the second one out on track, and he didn't want to waste it. Getting stuck behind cars on that outlap. This is a wild camera angle, just swooping all the way around here, isn't it? We do have a couple camera angles to use as well, like the SRO wing camera. Differs per car. We've also got the front right wheel because it's a right-hand track. And we'll have the splitter camera as well. Not a fan of the NRU livery. This is the OG livery. This is what we're based on, which is based off Toys R Us. So, feels like an 05 livery. Hey man, it's based off of Toys R Us. The early 90s is what it is. Gonna have to get used to it. That's just the way it is. The best part about this livery, though, is what I put on Andrew's car. Take a quick look-see. Weird how we don't really hear the car here. He doesn't like Campbell's. He likes Chef Boyardee, in case you're wondering. Poor guy. But with that said, we do have a couple of drivers passing the start-finish line. Starting their hot lap, I believe. Nope, they've put down a time, it looks like. Yes, taste. So these times are kind of awkward how they're going up. I think these are outlap times. They're 2 minutes, so these are outlap times for sure. Which is why you're seeing a weird number there. These drivers are going to start their hot lap properly. We'll have to see how they do. Like I said, Gerber was the first one out on track, so he's leading the way right now, and he's already put a decent gap between him and Andrew behind. You can see that gap there is about, 200 or 300 meters. Right now, Austin is showing in purple. You can see him highlighted in purple there. He is doing the fastest lap as we go. It's easy to do the fastest lap if you're leading. He just went invalid, so now it doesn't matter. But he was up and going to be the fastest driver that lap temporarily. But I have to see what happens and see what other laps can be put down. He did have the fastest sector so far. Looks like somebody took away his sector 1. I'm not sure who that was. But excited to see. Drivers to watch, of course, Tony Danzig. Really fast GT4 driver. Although he did just have his dab, so we'll have to see if that slows him down at all. JJ Burr as well, usually fairly quick driver. Devin Anthony, quick and competent. In the Aston. He used to not drive the Aston when I raced against him, so this is new for him. Simon Tonkin, really fast WRT driver. Hoping to see him do well. Carl Banning. We saw him get a couple podiums along with Russell Harrell. You hate the Aston. You're weird, James. Get out of here. With that said, Andrew Casey has put down a time and was immediately stepped on. So he did a 56.332. JJ Burr did a 56 flat. Ilpo, 55.712, which I'm sure is making Andrew mad because he wasn't in the 55s during practice and he was bragging about being ahead of Ilpo. So we'll have to see if Andrew can try and keep up and get into those 55s. So Ilpo has just done a 55.712. Drivers have started putting down times, not quite doing great on them yet. It looks like Mason has done a 22.435. That's just an outlap. Disregard that. Sean Bramer, 2.11. 2 minute 11, rather, 0.082. He's trying to make some improvements. Not quite up on his time there. Austin Gerber's up almost a whole second on his fastest. Like I said, he was invalid that one time. I'm showing a best time of 2:02, and I think that was just his outlap. So have to see what happens. The past 2 weeks, he couldn't get a handle. Oh, you're talking about the GT3 Aston, not even the GT4. Dang, man. 24 hours at Spa, and you didn't get it until the last stint. Ilpo's making an improvement on his time. Not quite a lot, but he is. He might go invalid there. It looks like just barely stays on the track. Drew Freiberger up 6/10 on his time. I just realized I'm missing something on my screen, making it hard for me to know where I'm at. Let me get this opened up here. Bam, boom, 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 bam. I want... Where's my information? It is up here. They changed some things on my UI, so I've got to try and figure out where everything is. Give me just a second. You know what? They didn't change anything on my UI. I just didn't have it open. There we go. Now I've got some information on the screen. I can tell you guys where we're at. A Jeremy live cam. Everything behind me is a mess, and I'm not going to use a green screen, so you're not going to get one. But you already know what I look like. Besides, I do this after a day of work, so I'm usually just a mess anyways. Drew was able to put down a 159.1. Andrew's not making any improvements on his time, it looks like. Tony Danzig up 2/10 on his time. 2/10 improvement could move him up. Probably to P3. We'll have to see. He's only coming through turn 4 now. I believe there's 12 turns on this track. Into turn 5. Turn 6, also known as Augie's. That is Augie's corner there. Who'd have thunk? A little bit off track there. He's going to lose his time there that he was up. Move back to the back again, and Drew Freiberger up another second. Literally in the first sector of the track, he's able to improve a whole second. So I'm sure Drew has a lot more in him, and he can move up quite a bit. A second improvement could potentially move him up 2 positions over top of Simon Tonkin. Into Hamilton. That's what turn 5 is. And then Augie's turn 6. This is just a funny name of that turn. Augie's. So just so you guys know a little bit of history about Snetterton, Snetterton was built as an RAF airfield designated for use by the 96th United States Air Force Bomber Group between 1943 May and November 1948. The circuit itself was created in 1951 from the network of remaining runways, and its first event, its first event was held the same year by the Aston Martin's Owners Club. So I think that's awesome. Aston Martin Owners Club ran their first event there. With that said, did you guys know that Snetterton used to be triangular? So I wonder if I can zoom out on the map and see that. I'm going to go ahead and allow that there, Sarvarius. Your favorite corner is Bumhole. Which corner is that? Which turn is that? Drew's moved up to 12th place, by the way. So he did overtake Simon, talking like we were talking about. Simon is up 1.4 seconds on his time. I wonder. I'm curious. I'm going to kind of screw up this and break the illusion here for just a moment. I want to see if that old racetrack is still here. Kind of. That road there. All right, if I'm right, this was the road here. That was part of the racetrack, and then came back around and went that way. And then back around down. It was a wild, big track, so yeah, I think that's it. Up to that roundabout you can see up there. But anyways, let's stop breaking the realism here and get back to our stream for just a moment. Improving drivers. Let's see. Oppo up 1/10 on his time. Andrew up 4/10. Now 4/10 could move him up over everybody ahead of him except for Oppo into second place. So we'll have to see if he's able to do that. He's getting ready to cross the line. Only 2/10 up. He is going to make an improvement. Not enough to move up in position though. Not Bumhole. Bombhole. That's what I thought. I thought it was something like that. I put it up there because I don't remember the name of it. Let's find out where Bumhole turn is, right? So turn 1, that's not it. Turn 2 is Montreal. So, being that it was built as a World War II base, that's probably why it was named that. Turn 3 is Palmer. Oppo set another fastest lap. Turn 4 is Agostini. Agostini. You say that one. Agostini? Agostini? Agostini. And then turn 5 is Hamilton. Turn 6 is Augie's. That's this corner here, Augie's. Turn 7 is Williams. You don't know where I'm seeing the names at? That's because I have them in a secret hidden place. Bentley Straight is the name of this straight here. Then Brundle. And then Nelson. I think Bombhole is one of those last two corners. Let me see if I can put this information on screen for you guys so you can see it. There you go. Turn 10, Bombhole. That's it right there. All right, let's put this on screen so you can see what I'm seeing. I'm gonna just kind of go up in the middle of everything, so I apologize for that. As soon as I can find it, there we go. That's not what you want it to look like, is it? Let's make it look pretty. There we go. Now you can see what I see. Let's put it somewhere nice. What do you think? Down here? I put it above it on my screen, so that's where I see it. But like this. This is kind of how I see it. Cool? Is that good? That worked for you guys? All right. Let's put that like it is, and that's what it'd be like. Now we know. There you go. Devin in chat saying good luck, have fun. With that said, 2 minutes left of qualifying. Drivers are trying to get their last little bits of qualifying in. It looks like Gerber's up 3/10 on his time. We do have some other improving drivers. Casey Swanseger in 11th and Dylan Kaiser in 10th. Casey's back and forth between improving and being on par with his fastest. Austin is actually fastest lap right now. He's currently looks like potentially going to be faster than Ilpo if he can hold on to this as he comes through turn 7 now. On to Bentley straight. See how we do. Into the braking zone through turn 8 and turn 9. Turn 9 is my favorite right there. This is your favorite right here, bomb hole, which is this hard right-hander. And I kind of like the next one after that, turn 11. Foram is the name of it. So Austin is still up on his time. It is not the best lap. He's actually lost quite a bit of time here. It might be something we hear about later if he ends up being one of the podium drivers. Still got another minute and 24 seconds, though, so he still has the opportunity to improve. I have to see if he's able to do so. Crossing the line. Looks like he's going to be equal nearly. Yep, no change on his time. So stays where he's at. Sean Bramer up 2/10. 2/10 improvement can put him up over top of CW Wells. Sean Bramer not driving a WRT car. That's a first. I don't think I've ever seen him not drive one. So kind of weird. CW Wells in the pits, so he's not really competing to hold Sean behind him. If Sean's able to keep that 2/10 up, if not more, then he will overtake CW Wells in the in qualifying. But I'm gonna be honest. Even if I did overtake him, I probably would want to be in that 17th place. That way, you get that inside line for the first for that first lap. No clue how I got up here, he says. You're not up here, though. You're in 4th. What are you talking about? You were talking all sorts of smack earlier. All right, Devin says he wants an onboard with himself. We will do that. We're not going to do it right now because, Devin, I think you're sitting in the pits, buddy. Still going to win. Stop dying, Andrew. If you didn't die, you and Tonkin are on the same page. And it's not that you're doing the same things. But if you didn't get into an accident every race, you would finish, and you would finish well. We all gonna die. Eventually. Sean Bramer up almost a whole second on his time. I'm sorry for that camera angle. That is terrible. You've never crashed your whole life. Okay, yeah. 7/10 up from Sean Bramer. Qualifying has ended more or less. Drivers still on track finishing up their last bits of their qualifying. Let's see if he can make an improvement. He's touching some dirt there. That may slow him down. Luckily, it's a short straight, so he doesn't have to worry about it too much. Ilpo is insane. He is insane. Ilpo is a proper alien. Always has been, always will be. But JJ Bird's right behind him, only 3/10 off. So we may see some differences. Different positions for podium today. Extremely fast. We still have a couple more drivers on track. Dylan Kaiser looks like he's coming around the final corner now. 3/10 up on his time. 3/10 could move him up 2 positions from 10th. He's holding it 2/10 up. 2/10 may only move him up that 1. There he goes, up into 8th. Oh, good job, Dylan, moving up a couple positions into 8th. Sean Bramer up 6/10 on his time, moves from 16th. And doesn't look like he's moving anywhere. Stays there, he must have been invalid. Pulling off to the side. Ilpo needs his own ballast. The Ilpo ballast, if you will. All right, let me get the game up here. Hit that drive button, and we'll do a grid walk down, shall we? The grid walk. All right. And starting off in P1, the illustrious Ilpo Rustalainen. I don't know if I said that right. I probably didn't. He'll correct me, I'm sure. P2 is JJ Burr. P3, Austin Gerber, WRT car. Andrew, I don't know how I got here, Casey, in P4. P5, Mason Moffitt. P6, Tony Danzig. Russell Harrell, closer to the mid-pack this day, in 7th. Dylan Kaiser in 8th. 9th place, Brandon Pfeiffer. And rounding out the top 10 is Simon Tonkin in a WRT number 117 car. Casey Swanseeger in P11. Carl Banning in P12. Devin Anthony in P13. Drew Freiberger in P14. Glenn Jacobs in P15. Sean Bramer in P16. D.W. Wells in P17. Brian Conway in P18. And last, certainly not least, Alex Londar in P19. With that said, that is our lineup. Drivers will be getting ready to go out on track here shortly. Don't think Russell got any sleep. I don't think he did either, and I'm surprised he's racing. I would be napping if I was Russell, but that's just me. I'm going to make sure you guys got the information on screen that you need to see, because we don't need personal best anymore. We do need race gaps. It needs to stay on there at all times. And then we will let it rotate between everything else. But with that said, these drivers will start their outlap here in just a moment. I'm going to run an advertisement. Let's get that out of the way now. I'm going to grab a drink. You guys grab a drink, and we'll be right back in 2 minutes. Right. I am back. Unfortunately, the stream has another 60 seconds left on it for the ad. Those of you that are here, thank you for supporting Noobs R Us. Thank you for being part of our streams, jumping in chat, saying hello, cheering on your fellow drivers. Oh, Kanya, I just realized you resubbed. Thank you, buddy. I just noticed that. What's an ad? I don't like ads either. Turn 3. Boots and pants and boots and pants. Oh, what's your nickname when I do a grid walk? I don't have one for you. It's just James Cossaboon. I only made up a nickname for Andrew this time around because he came in chat and said something, and it was a whim. Okay, I can figure out one for you. Do you have a nickname in the Discord? Friend, that's your nickname, James Friend Cossaboon. I got to start saying them like that. I think that'd be great if I just used everybody's Discord nicknames. But the drivers are on their outlap now. They will be going side by side shortly as they run into the third sector. It's a fairly short track. With only 12 turns, there's lots of straights and opportunities to get draft. Get this music turned off. Get ready for a awesome 1 hour race. There is one required pit stop. They're not required to take fuel or tires. All they got to do is go in, come to a complete stop, shut off the car, and go. We do allow as many pit stops as they want, but there's one that's mandatory. We do use live weather, so this was the weather from this morning in real life, or at least as close to it as we could get. There's obviously rain in real life, so that's why we allow that pit to be taken at any point, so people can kind of plan for rain and that kind of thing. Drivers are coming to Noah's Ark formation as they go into turn 11. Oppo will be leading this pack with JJ Burr by his side. kind of the calm before the storm. He needs to close that window up. It's causing drag. 2 deaths at T. I hope not. I hope we don't get any deaths during the race. And the GT4s is a lot better for crashes. We don't normally see T1 deaths, but we'll have to see. This is of course a race, and anything can happen. Coming down the front straight. Oppo on that inside line to the left.
Green light. Go,
And
go,
we're
go.
green at Snetterton. 60 minutes starts now. Oppo moving all the way to the racing line so he can get this optimum turn in. JJ Burr right on his tail on the way in. We have some position changes near the middle of the pack here. New driver on track, Mason Moffitt in the middle of this. It looks like he's got Russell Harrell right behind. Oh no, that's Tony Danzig right behind. Tony Danzig. Looks like sent somebody wide for just a moment. Nothing really came of that. A little bit of bonking here in the back. Nothing major there either. We're starting to go single file already. Moffitt is fast, but not Oppo fast. No, Oppo is properly Oppo fast. He's already put a car gap and some change on there. We will see some potential overtake opportunities. Andrew Casey's got Carl Banning on the inside as they go into turn 5. Carl not able to hold that inside line on the way in. Braking hard and heavy into Augie's. This is where the McLaren shines, is these straights. But we'll see Casey pull away a little bit, I'm sure, on the straight. Moving further back, got Glenn Jacobs. Looks like he may go for an overtake, and he is moving to the inside. I'm sorry, he moved to the right. Simon Tompkins on the inside. Simon's going to be defensive on the way into turn 8. Hits the the tires. Goes wide. Nothing came of that. No bonks, nothing. So that's good. Moving further up. Mason Moffitt trying to catch up to Andrew Casey ahead. Kind of falling off a little bit here and there. Drivers are coming around the final corner now, going down the front straight. Anybody going to the pits early? It does not look like it. Oppo, 159.690 for lap 1. Russell Harrell moving to the inside. Tucking back to the outside, trying to throw Tony Danzig off into turn 1. Didn't look like anything came of it. Tony Danzig is more or less unfazed by that. Further back, Carl Banning. And Casey Swansea. You can see Casey going to the inside of Brandon Pfeiffer on the way through turn 2. Looks like he gets the overtake done. Brandon Pfeiffer now has to be defensive in that Janetta to Carl Banning behind. Brandon Pfeiffer now has Carl on the inside. Carl looks like he's going to hold that inside line. This is a nice long sweeping corner. Both still side by side on the way out of that corner. Carl backing out just a little bit, but not enough to make Brandon feel safe. Brandon actually gave some space on the inside of that corner. Carl definitely wants this position. We go through turn 7. We'll be on board with Brandon for just a moment. You can see another car further back. Oh, Russell Harrell in the wall. You can see him up in that corner. I don't know what happened there. Maybe we can take a quick look at that and see what happened with Russell Harrell. In the pits. I don't know. It's not showing up that there was an incident. What car number is he? He's car 326. No incident showing up. There it is. Let's back it up and see what happened. It looks like he was going in through Augie's and into turn 7 right after that, and just drove off. Guys, Russell fell asleep. Russell fell asleep. This has to be what it was. He fell asleep at the wheel. There's no other excuse. I don't know what happened. It must have been, but luckily that didn't happen. Was it his wheel? Oh, no. Russell has the ability to catch back up, though. We may see him catch back up and be competitive yet. This battle between Brandon Pfeiffer and Carl Banning is still going on as they come into turn 1. Wheel disconnected. Oh, that sucks. Carl Banning keeping that pressure up into turn 2. right on the heels of Janetta, losing a little bit of time as he comes out of turn 2. Down this little straight into turn 3. Is he going to close that gap up? Perhaps, Rabbit, perhaps. Back on with Pfeiffer. You can see that how far that gap is behind now. Closing up as they go through. Oops, I didn't mean to change cameras twice there. I apologize for that. We got the battles starting to fall off there. Moving further up, Andrew Casey trying to put some pressure on Mason Moffitt. Looks like Mason was able to get around fairly easily that lap. We just missed it. But Andrew, I'm sure he's content being where he is, but doesn't really want to give it up. He's got gained some ground on him prior to Bentley Straight. So is Andrew going to tuck to the inside? He's not. Going to stay right behind Mason as they go through turns 8 and 9. Andrew going a little bit wider there, trying to gain a little bit of speed. In through bomb hole they go. And then through the final corners, they're going to be on that front straight. Devin Anthony has asked for an onboard. So let's do an onboard with Devin. We'll wait until he gets onto the front straight, and we'll do that. I want to take another quick look at Andrew Casey just to see. It looks like there's some defensiveness from Mason. They get ready to go into turn 1. Yeah, you can see the defensiveness. Andrew's going to be on that outside line. Tucking back in. Is he going to be on the inside on the way out of the corner? He hits that inside curb, slips a little bit. Devin Anthony, let's get on board with him. Through turn 1 they go. Braking right around that 1 board between the 1 and the 2. Hard and heavy. Trying to get the nose to turn in early on the gas to get the rear end to come out and finish the turn up. His next corner, just a light brake to get the nose to come through. Late on the throttle. Don't want to go too wide here. You can use a lot of that track, but you don't want to go off that track. You will get penalized for that. Braking around that 1 again. Through turn 4. Heavy on the throttle on the way out. No real brake here, just a tap. Just a tap to get the car to turn. Once it's turning, you're pretty much good. Braking at that board on the left. You have to have references on the ground because those boards will get knocked down all the time. So, and on to the back straight, Bentley Straight. Looks like he's outside of the draft and has nobody around him. Simon Tonkin is 2 seconds behind, so Devin is in a comfortable place right now. We still have 52 minutes. Oh, there's some crashing up ahead. Devin's going to just try and navigate it safely. Looks like it was Casey Swanseger. We may have to come back and see what happened with that after this lap with Devin Anthony. In through turn 11. This is probably my favorite turn because if you're able to do it right, you can get a good run up to this final corner and send it in on another driver offensively. Get an overtake done on that corner if you do it right. There's an onboard with Devin Anthony. Let's see what happened with Casey Swanseger if we can. Looks like he was coming down Bentley Straight here and goes to the outside. Ooh, tries not to hit an Aston, looks like. Ends up off track. Flipping and sliding. Comes to a stop before rejoining, thankfully. So he lost quite a bit of positions. No damage to his car, so that's good. Had a glitch there for a moment, but that's all good. Happy to see that. With that said, the majority of battles have kind of fallen off. We do have a battle between WRT drivers. Glenn Jacobs representing Noobs R Us this race. And Drew Freiberger behind. Drew going to try and keep some pressure on his teammate ahead. Glenn Jacobs in the Aston behind, or in the Aston ahead, is fairly competent. And being that these drivers practice around each other all the time, it's going to be hard to get around Glenn, I'm sure. So a little bit wide there. I say that. I may have spoke too soon here. Glenn may have went wide and accidentally let Drew pass. What happened? Camera, thank you. So Glenn ended up going wide. Drew was able to get around on the inside. So Unfortunate short-lived battle. Carl Banning still putting pressure on Brandon Pfeiffer ahead. This battle has been continuing for the majority of the race. When Jacobs putting pressure back on Drew Freiberger behind. These are going to be our two battles for now. There might be a third one starting to form with Sean Bramer and C.W. Wells. Carl Banning still keeping pressure on Brandon, so we'll have to see which one of these two battles get closer. You want to do an onboard with Tonkin. All right, let's do an onboard with Simon Tonkin. As he's coming down the front straight now. Onboard with Mr. Tonkin. Hello, Simon. Simon, if you're listening to this stream, the reason why we're doing an onboard with you is because James Cosselwood wants to see if you're camera shy. We're braking hard and heavy at that two board once again. Looks like he's gaining quite a bit on Devin Anthony ahead. We just watched Devin Anthony, so we're going to see a little bit of time gains. Simon's slipping a little bit out of turn 2 back there into turn 3. Needs to be a little bit easier on his throttle. That'll allow him to grip up as he's coming out of the corners. Braking between that 1 and the 2 board here just to get the nose to turn in. Like I said, just a nice light tap of your brakes here through turn 5. Almost went wide there, but he was able to carry a good amount of speed and close up the gap a little bit to Devin Anthony ahead. Through Augie's. And then into turn 7 Williams. Both these cars have similar power, same engine, so they're going to be running down this back straight at similar speeds. There is no draft right now between these two drivers, so it's all about who can get the better entry and exit into the corners right now. Simon has closed up the gap into that corner, but lost a little bit on the way out. Cutting all of that corner, using a lot of the dirt there. And going wide on the way through into turn 11 so he can get on the throttle heavily into turn 12. Goes just a little bit wide, losing a little bit extra time to Devin Anthony. There is your onboard with Simon Tonkin. Get back with the battle Carl Banning and Brandon Pfeiffer. This is still continuing to go. Oh my goodness! Woo! Tony Danzig flipping around. Looks like he took out a fellow driver there for just a moment. 87 Mason Moffitt. Tony Danzig on the track. Just waiting to rejoin here. There he goes. My goodness. I cannot believe we came back to that. Oh. So it looks like Tony's the one that took the most of what happened there. I'm not sure exactly how it began, but we just saw the slip. And that was 87 that we saw Moffitt. Moffitt looks like he's okay in 8th place. Lost a position or two, but nothing too bad. Battle between WRT drivers, Sean Bramer and C.W. Wells. So they go through turn 4 now. You want a replay of it? All right, let's pull up the replay of it. Let's see what actually happened then. Here's the replay of what happened with Tony Danzig. Looks like they were coming down front straight through turn 1 here. Off track, that's what it was. Bouncing, slipping, sliding. Moffitt, oh, got caught up in it. That's what happened. Now we know. Tony Danzig went wide in turn 1. Oh. With that said, the leader of the pack, Ilpo, is 1.3 seconds ahead of JJ Burr. So he does have a fairly decent lead. If JJ is able to get into that draft, though, he may be able to compete for that P1. We're going to have to see how it goes. We're going to have to see how their pit stop goes. Ilpo did admit to having a mistake, or causing, I don't remember if he had a mistake. We had some mistakes in pit that caused people to lose position, but I don't know if Ilpo did. So we'll have to see if he makes any mistakes. But with that said, I want to go back to this battle with Sean Bramer and C.W. Wells. Ooh! Right when we moved to Sean, he is sideways into a wall. Hopefully that didn't screw up his steering too much. My goodness. Sean back on track. That was a real life car. It would have been done. Carl Banning Brandon Pfeiffer. Carl's on the inside of this turn through turn 3. This is the first time we've seen Carl actually be able to get the inside line on Brandon. Brandon is now technically behind, not fully though. And you can see Mason trying to tuck in there as well into turn 4. The overtake has been completed by Carl. Brandon Pfeiffer is now going to try and hold off Mason Moffitt. Mason trying to regain ground after that incident with Tony Danzig. It was a good rejoin, you're right. I'm just making up a name. Who are you? Brandon Pfeiffer now in the middle of this battle. Doesn't want to be here. He wanted to hold that position from Carl. Ended up not being able to. So he's hoping that Carl makes a mistake and he's able to run away. Down this back straight, it's going to be hard for that Ginetta to get around this Camaro. It just doesn't have that straight line speed that the Camaro does. You can see him tuck into the slipstream on the way into turn 8, just trying to get as much speed as he can. This Ginetta is going to absolutely be able to outturn this Camaro, though. We'll have to see as we continue on. Carl holding this train up, trying to just run away. It looks like Brandon's not going to allow that to happen. Ooh, into the braking zone of the final corner now. And Ginetta was able to get right there for just a moment, but ended up having to overbrake to keep from hitting him. Mason Moffitt is now going to put that pressure on Brandon Pfeiffer, going to the inside of turn 1. Not quite able to outbrake him or move to the inside of that line, though. It's good on the curbs and straights. The Camaro is. I think most of these V8 cars are. Like the Aston, I feel like I can clobber any curb for the most part. But I'm not racing. I did create this event or this GT4 series so that I could race. But then I saw we had 30 people signed up, and I was like, you know what? I'll stream this series. And then only 15 people showed up to the race. So, I mean, we still have 33 people signed up and only 18 showing up. So it's kind of wild how it's working. Moving towards the back here, we got Simon Tonkin trying to get an overtake done on CW Wells. Both these WRT drivers. It looks like Simon may have had an incident that moved him back. Or maybe, rather, he's moving up. I don't really know what's going on. I'm just kind of off here. But Simon is definitely a rapid driver, so shouldn't be too long before he's able to get alongside and around CW Wells. Tarvarius, I don't know who you are either. Wait, were you? I don't know. I don't know who any of you guys are. I know who James is. James has been here for like 4 seasons. But I'd be excited. I would be happy to have you guys back and racing again. With that said, Simon Tonkin is not able to go to the inside. It looks like CW Wells is going to be defensive on Bentley Straight. Both these AMGs breaking into turn 8. Simon is able to actually outbrake and move around on the outside of that turn and get the overtake done on CW Wells. CW going wide, slipping and sliding. Drew Freiberger having to watch out there. Steven Sarver, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. I know the name now. I just didn't know who Sarvarius was. Now I got it. Gotcha. Okay, cool. I just realized that there's been one mandatory pit stop, and I forgot to put that on screen for you guys. So I'm going to try and get that information on screen so you can see it. Where are we at here? I want you guys to be able to see that we have one mandatory pit. Pit stop time minimum is 0 seconds. We do have some people going into the pits right now, people that have done their pit stops. Devin Anthony is one of them. Glenn Jacobs is another. Casey has done 2. Brian Conway has done 1. So they should be good to go. Sean Bramer's going into the pit now. And you have your replay watched. Get out of here, James. You dingus. With that said, Carl Banning has now moved up a little bit, pulled away from Brandon Pfeiffer, and is trying to put some pressure on Dylan Kaiser ahead. Andrew Casey's trying to catch back up to Austin Gerber after getting around Dylan, it looks like. Or who was it? He ended up getting around somebody. He does have Casey Swanseeger in between him and Austin Gerber, though. We'll have to see how this goes. Those two noobs are us drivers. Poor Andrew has no stripes on his car. Casey Swanseeger has 4. And that's just the difference of racing, though. I mean, the amount of times that Casey's raced compared to Andrew, Andrew ends up missing a couple of events. So, unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. We are going to see a couple of... Ooh, Andrew Casey off track. Rejoining. You are going to see on the required pit stop, some people that have done their pits are going to show that they're required. That's because I turned on that information late, so I apologize for that. Mason Moffitt on the inside. Ooh, switchback. Really, really good switchback by Brandon Pfeiffer. Mason really missing the braking point, going extremely wide through turn 2 now. Into turn 3, he's fallen quite a bit off Brandon Pfeiffer. Brandon is now catching up to Carl Banning, and Carl is trying to get around Dylan Kaiser. We have another four-way battle for 5th place here. You saw for just a moment Carl tucked to the inside, trying to throw Dylan off. Didn't look like it worked. We'll have to see if Carl's able to catch back up. He's fallen off just a little bit through those last couple of turns. Gaining a lot of ground through Augie's. And then into turn 7. This is where this Camaro is going to shine, is down these straights. However, like I said, it's going to be similar power, though, both these V8s. So Carl's just going to have to use as much of the draft as he can. I don't think he's even going to look to the inside. If he does, it's just going to be to throw him off. Nope, not even looking to the inside. Simon Tonkin has had an oopsie with Drew Freiberger. Tony Danzig and Devin Anthony. Tony with that early on bonk that he had with Mason Moffitt, trying to close up the gap to Drew Freiberger ahead. Or not Drew Freiberger. Why am I saying that? To Devin Anthony ahead. Devin trying to close up that gap to Alex Londar. Alex, starting in the back, has moved up into P12, showing 7 positions up from where he started. So he started in 19th and 12th. We do have one driver that's quit out. I don't know who that was. You can see Alex being fairly defensive there to the 2 noobs or us drivers behind. Moving back. Simon Tonkin! Oh! Trying not to hit the wall. Woo! I'm going to get a rejoin there. My goodness gracious. We had this battle here for 5th still going, and then battle for 12th with Tony Danzig. So a couple different battles going on. We'll try and jump between them as we go. Carl Banning keeping that pressure on Dylan Kaiser. I feel like that's where the most pressure is at right now, is on Dylan. Carl doesn't really have anything to worry about, or at least it doesn't seem like he does, with Brandon Pfeiffer behind. And Brandon and Mason are kind of chilling as well. So I think they're just trying to see what happens. Simon Tonkin in the pits, getting his pit stop out of the way. A little bit of side-by-side action. That was a weird camera angle. Through Augie's, Carl Banning's able to get around Dylan. Dylan Kaiser, now 2nd in this pack of 4, has Brandon Pfeiffer behind. Banning immediately just increasing a gap there. You can see it was nearly a 2-3 car lengths. Almost outside. You can see looks like Brandon Pfeiffer tucking to the inside, cutting right back out. And now Dylan is nearly a whole second off of Carl. Carl's just immediately ran away. Simon going for a ride, Tonkin. He just decided he wanted to be a lawnmower for a moment. That's all. It's not that big of a deal. Moving back. Tony Danzig and Devin both able to get around Alex Londar for a split moment. It looks like Alex went a little bit wide, but Tony is now going side by side with Devin. Devin's going to have this inside defensive line. See Tony kind of in the middle of the track there, moving back to the outside, trying to keep Devin on that suboptimal line. Into turn 8 they go. And then braking really hard and heavy for turn 9. Tony closing up the gap a little bit, but it's not quite a lot. Yeah, sometimes the grass just needs to be mowed. That's why I've been playing Farming Simulator lately. I just want to mow some grass. I don't like the mowing simulator, though. I should play it just to see what it's about. Tony, keeping that pressure on. We got a yellow flag from CW Wells for a moment. Oh, nope, he's just going into the pits. Entering the pit lane. These 2 drivers We're going to pass him while he's in the pit. We're 35 minutes left, so 25 minutes of the race has been completed. About the midway point, so drivers that are in the middle of battles are probably going to start pulling off, trying to get their pits done. The guys in the front, you probably won't see them pit until the last lap or so. Tony Danzig keeping that pressure on it, on Devin Anthony. Into turn 2 they go. Right on his tail. We'll have to come back to him in just a moment. I want to move back up to this, I guess it's now just a three-way battle for 6th. Carl Banning is now 2 seconds ahead, so just a three-way battle. Dylan Kaiser leading this battle. Looks like, ooh, Mason Moffitt moving to the inside, trying to get the overtake done. Into the braking zone, slips through, was able to get it done. Holy. That was wild. I want to watch that from Helicam and watch a replay on that. Let's back that up if we can. Back it up a full 30 seconds. I want to see the whole thing from the straight. We're going to see it. Watch that AMG in the back. Moves to the inside. There's the move. Into the braking zone. Ooh. You saw that Janetta just move out of the way. Luckily, was able to get through that unscathed, but my goodness. With that said, these guys are battling again. We'll have to catch it in just a moment as we move back live there, side by side through turn 1. That Janetta now on the outside. Mason Moffitt trying to be defensive into turn 2. Goes wide again. Brandon Pfeiffer able to get that overtake complete through turn 2. My goodness. Yeah, he missed his braking point. Forced him wide, but luckily no death came of it, and he was able to get the overtake done. Regardless of that, no death. Mason is being fairly aggressive here, just trying to get Brandon off his line at any point. These two drivers are battling so much that it's allowed Dylan Kaiser to pull away. He's now 1.5 seconds ahead of these two. So the battles are kind of starting to split up and actually move backwards a bit. Devin Anthony, 41 seconds in trail of this pack. So he's got a lot of ground to make up. And I believe he's done his pit, so it's just not showing that. Let me make sure it's... Yeah, he's done his pit. So unfortunately, I can't make it disappear off the screen because I opened it up late. So once again, I apologize for that. But yeah, the battles are still going on. Tony Danzig and Devin Anthony still battling for that 9th place. Tony Danzig has done his pit as well, so both these drivers have completed their pit stops. I believe Tony did his after that original balk that he had shortly after that. What happened to Andrew? Why is he in the top 3? Because he's not. He got overtaken by Gerber. He was in 5th for a bit, but he actually made it back up and around. Tony Danzig able to get the overtake complete. He's going to be fairly defensive, putting his car in the middle of the track. Trying to get Devin to move to that outside line. He's going to. Tony Danzig moving to the outside line as well. Into the braking zone. Overtake complete. Moving back to this battle. We only got one real heavy battle on track right now. It's between Mason Moffitt and Brandon Pfeiffer. Mason, brand new, just joined us today. Brandon Pfeiffer's been with us since the beginning of the season, so these drivers trying to learn each other and feel each other out. And you can see how aggressive Mason's being by missing. He's missed his braking point a couple of times, so he's quick. He's just got to work on his braking points a little bit when he's being offensive. But luckily, nothing came of it, and he didn't kill anybody. He did get that early on bonk from Tony Danzig, moving him back. So just trying to make up some ground. Also, Mr. Kanya, thank you for the resub. I saw that a little bit late, but thank you for the resub. I appreciate it. So in the lead, we got Ilpo. You can see that white AMG behind JJ Burr as well. JJ could be using the Noobs Rest livery. I don't know why he's not. Maybe I didn't get him an AMG, but I did paint him a GT4 if I remember right. So JJ's about 2 seconds off from Ilpo. Ooh, Ilpo hitting that curb is going to lose him a good amount of time there. JJ actually went wide through it, so it kind of negated any time gain there. Neither of these drivers have pit. I don't expect them to pit until probably the end of the race. They're just trying to stay in that clean air. Simon Tonkin once again trying to get around his teammate Drew Freiberger. Casey Swanseeger off again. Doesn't look like he has any damage. It just looks like another moment of instability. It may have just went wide. Casey in last place has done 2 pit stops, so that's why he's in last. But we're watching Simon Tonkin just a moment ago as he was gaining on Drew Freiberger. It looks like he's falling off just a bit, but gaining a little bit of ground as they go through turn 6 into turn 7 now. Down the back straight, these similar cars, you're not going to see a whole lot of overtake opportunity unless for some reason Simon was just able to get a massive run. Looks like he was. He may move to the inside. Is he going to do it? He thought about it. Backed out at the last moment. That's fine. But he did gain a pretty good amount of ground there. 0.5 seconds off of Drew. He was 0.3 into that braking zone. Looks like we lost another driver. We're down to 17 total, so 2 drivers had quit out, unfortunately. Simon Tonkin trying to get around Drew. He has the ability to do it. Drew going really wide into the dirt. This is going to allow Tonkin to get that run down the straight and complete the overtake. Drew now not going to let it go. He's going to try and catch right back up, and hopefully we'll see another overtake opportunity arise. We'll have to come back to that in just a moment. We got Moffitt now and Dylan Kaiser behind. So Moffitt has fallen off from... oh, disregard that. He got around Dylan Kaiser. Oh, another car slipping. Who's that? That's Casey again. Casey, get your car together, man. My goodness. Glenn Jacobs with the yellow flag. In a bad place to have it, too. The inside of a hairpin. My goodness gracious. Go, Glenn, go. Wonder what happened with Glenn there. It looks like it was just a yellow flag. I don't know exactly what caused it. Let's see if we can see. In through turn 1. It looks like he may have just ended up hitting a curb. There's the inside curb. Goes to the outside. Same thing as Tony Danzig earlier on with that bump on the outside. Exactly same thing. Slipping and sliding. My goodness. But yeah, you're right. It will kill those tires. Absolutely. With that said, every single battle on track has now moved outside of a second from each other. The only one that's even remotely close is Drew Freiberger and Tonkin. Tonkin is running away down Bentley Straight now. Mason Moffitt with the yellow flag. It looks like he was just coming out of the pits is what that was. But with that said, the battles are starting to relax. I'm going to run a 2-minute ad so we don't get interrupted at the end of the race. I want to get some ice cream. Go do it. Get you some ice cream. Yeah, looks like the majority of battles have kind of just relaxed at this point. Neapolitan. Ooh, I'm jealous. That's some good stuff. Oh, with that said, Dylan Kaiser has just gained a lot of ground on Brandon Pfeiffer. Had Brandon lost some time, it looked like. Neither of these drivers have pit yet. Mint chocolate chip's good too. We've got ice cream too, but it's just regular vanilla. It's actually French vanilla. And ooh, look at that. Okay, Janetta's going into the pits. But we've got bananas and chocolate, so maybe I'll make me a chocolate banana shake after the race today. All right, all battles have fallen off. People are jumping in the pits, jumping out of the pits. Brandon is in there for quite a while, it looks like. He doesn't need to take tires or fuel. I don't know what happened. It just disconnected him? I don't know. It won't let me look at him no more. He's fully disconnected. No idea what happened with Brandon Pfeiffer. Weird. all these drivers end up getting a free position because of that. I have no idea. Extremely awkward. We did see Ilpo coming up to P13, getting ready to try and get around him and not be held up too long. The longer he's held up, the more time JJ Burr has the ability to get around it. But JJ Burr is positioned back as well. He's able to get around fairly easily. JJ Burr's got to work his way up through 2 cars now to try and catch up to Ilpo. John Bramer trying to battle. John Bramer off the racing line there, trying to catch up to CW Wells. Wasn't able to do it with all of that battling. He's hoping that CW ends up getting held up by JJ. We'll have to see what happens there, what comes of that. So right now, drivers that have pit, only one right now is Alex Londar has not pit in P10. And then everybody from P7 down has pit at least once. Carl Banning jumping in the pits now from P5. Looking at the prediction, Carl is going in P5. It looks like after all the pit stops are done, he may be in P6. We'll have to see what happens. This is how quick the pit should be. Come to a stop, turn the engine off, turn the engine back on and go. Back out he goes. He's going to be in P6 temporarily. With that said, Mason Moffat's right behind. Cruising down that front straight now, 2 seconds in trail of Carl Banning. These drivers have finished their pit as well. Ooh, Mason getting a little bit slippy on the exit of turn 1. Going into turn 2, Montreal. He's 1.5 seconds in trail of Carl. You saw earlier this battle going on, and Carl was able to get around these drivers and kind of pull away. So I'm sure Carl's hoping that he can replicate that and just continue to pull away, but Mason probably doesn't want to let that happen. Weird camera angles on this track, isn't there? Like, that's just the standard camera angles. John Bramer closing that gap up to CW Wells once again. Into the braking zone of turn 12. John was able to turn in a little bit harder, but not able to hit the apex. Falling off just a little bit. Your PC started. This is Brandon Pfeiffer. And none of your inputs worked. Oh, that is frustrating. We were watching you, and it just, that sucks, man. You can still reload, get back in, do some more racing. I mean, at least you get points. You know what I'm saying? If this ends up being your drop race, then that so be it. But at least you'd finish the race. John Bramer now on the tail of CW Wells. These WRT drivers, both in the same car, practice around each other all the time. We'll have to see what happens. John looking to the inside, whipping it to the inside all the way around. Looks like Wells actually just lifted on the straight. Now Sean misses braking point and ends up in a wall. Whoever in LFM decides that Janetta needs a 33 kilogram weight penalty, the track is on something. Oh, man. I think it's probably because not a lot of people are driving it. And the people that are driving it are quick. That's the issue with the VOP, even if it is LFM with a lot of drivers on it. Andrew Casey, 4 seconds off of Gerber. Got a lot of ground to gain to try and catch up. Porsche's great. Andrew loves this track because it's a great track car combination. So this is one of his best tracks. So, like I was saying, everybody from P6 all the way down to P16 have done pit stops. So anybody you see, like Devin Anthony, Glenn Jacobs, Casey Swansea here, they've all done pit stops. We're just waiting on these top 5 drivers to complete their pit stops as well. There is one long straight, but it's not like extremely long. It's just that back straight down there at the bottom of the map that you can see. JJ Burr in the pits. getting his pit stop out of the way. He's going to come out of the pits and jumping over that curb in the pit. My goodness, I can't believe that thing exists there. Coming out of the pits, and looks like P4. He's got P5 coming up behind. You can see in that red Camaro of, who is that? Kaiser? I don't know who that was. Banning? Not Banning. I forgot the name already. Alex Londar is who it was. Alex is not competing with JJ Burr for position. So he's got a lot of room around. We just saw Carl Banning go into the pits as well. No, maybe we didn't. What did we see? Dylan Kaiser going to the pits. Coming out of the pits right behind Carl Banning. I say right behind. He's about 5 seconds behind. He actually moved behind Mason Moffitt. Mason coming through turn 1. So this battle is going to continue to go on. Mason had a couple of laps of free time. Stop the count. Andrew made it to the podium. We have 19 minutes left in the race. We can't just stop the count. No matter what Andrew would like, I could disqualify him right now, though, if you want me to. I'm not going to do that. I could. What I'm saying. With that said, Mason Moffitt trying to run away from Dylan Kaiser. You can see Dylan in that black Aston gaining a lot of ground as they go through turn 4. Mason a little bit wide on the way in. Looks like he was able to stay fairly close within that slipstream range. Dylan trying to gain that ground. You can see Mason just taking more of that curb on the inside there, able to actually pull away because of it. Dylan turning in a little bit earlier than Mason on turn 7. It's going to allow him to pull away just a little bit. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to DQ him. Andrew Casey is in the pits. Pulled into the pit right behind Austin Gerber. He's trying to get that quicker pit. Looks like he may have pulled too far forward. Not quite sure. Yep, pulled too far forward, just like I'd said. He's wasting time there, Andrew. Does he pull too far forward again? There he goes. Yes, he's too far forward again. Andrew! Okay, there he goes. He's leaving. He said, never mind. I think he completed his pit. I think Austin may have taken tires or something. That's going to allow Andrew to hold that podium position. Does he speed out of the pit? No, he's not going to do that. Andrew Casey's completed his pit stop and is in 3rd because of it. Austin Gerber in 7th. Down a lot of positions. I think he may have taken tires or fuel or something. Yeah. But regardless of that regular pit stop that Andrew just took, Austin took a much longer pit stop. We only have one other driver that needs to pit, and that would be Ilpo. Ilpo's the only other one that hasn't. Top 5 for Moffitt. Yes, sir. Moffitt had almost crashed into somebody early on, so hopefully he doesn't do that. But when he's by himself, he seems to be able to hit his braking points pretty good. So, with that said, the only battle on track is going to be between Dylan Kaiser and Mason Moffitt for this 5th place. As the drivers now go into Augie's turn 6. There's no ground gained by Dylan. Going to be fairly slow and uneventful, I think. 15 more minutes. Only one other driver to do their pit stop will be Ilpo. Once he's done, I will turn that stuff off screen so you don't have to see the inaccuracies on it. Alex Londar's got a yellow flag. Just missed that yellow flag and what caused it. Looks like he was alone, though, so it must have just been a slip. Drew Freiberger catching up to his teammate Simon Tonkin a little bit here and there. He's 2 seconds off. Looking through the fence line because that's how that camera angle works, apparently. Drew just a little bit wide out of turn 4. Into turn 5 he goes. Losing some extra time here. Going really, really wide there. Let's move back to Dylan Kaiser and see if we can't catch more of this battle. A little bit of glitching there. Passing the start-finish line now. Into the braking zone of turn 1. You can see Dylan turning just a hair earlier. Trying to get on that throttle a little bit earlier. It looks like he's able to do so. Moffitt being defensive into turn 2. And Looks like he's not going to be able to shake him off quite yet. Glenn Jacobs, another yellow flag. Looks like he was alone again. May come back to that and see if he's able to rejoin safely. Dylan not backing off, trying to get around Mason. He's got 15 minutes to do so. Is it going to happen? Peek into the inside, not quite able to do anything. Get that wing view again as we go through Augie's. Getting blocked, the view blocked by the tower on the left side there for just a moment. You can see that Aston just being a little bit more narrow on the way in, slipping and sliding on the way out. That's going to lose him that time as they go down Bentley straight towards turn 8. Into the braking zone they go. That Aston turning in just a little bit earlier, trying to gain some ground. Looks like he's able to do so. That was a wild view, wasn't it? Seeing the Aston behind slipping and sliding around. But Mason has pulled away just enough here to feel comfortable, I'm sure, and relax a moment. With that said, Ilpo is still yet to pit. I'm sure he's filled up all the way. He does have a back marker behind him. I believe that's Drew Freiberger. And he is catching up to P10, which is Simon Talkin now. As they go down the back straight, through Bentley straight, rather. There's no need to be any sort of defensive anywhere here. I'm going to just continue to run away. JJ Burr in the mix with a bunch of back markers. But right now, what JJ's hoping is that Ilpo's being held up enough for him to get the overtake done when Ilpo goes into the pits. And Ilpo is thinking the exact same thing, and it looks like it's kind of opposite. Ilpo is hoping that JJ's being held up, and it looks like he was for just a moment. Dylan Kaiser able to close up that ground that he had lost a little bit just in that last lap. He's gained it back. 1.0 seconds behind. Into the braking zone of turn 6. Getting ready to go into this quick right turn of turn 7 before they go down Bentley straight. Dylan looks like he's able to get a little bit more narrow this time around than Mason, so he may have a little bit extra speed down the straight. Just going to follow in the draft all the way down. He does have a little bit of a run. Not going to be enough to go to the inside. He may peak just to... Nope, he's not going to do that either. Into the braking zone, turn 9. That the Aston is just able to slide right through there. He is eating up his tires every time he does it, though. Through turn 10. And this long right-hander of turn 11 into turn 12. This really sharp left-hander. And you can't cut that corner either because of that sausage curb there. Dylan Kaiser was able to gain a little bit extra ground that last half of the lap. He's 0.8 seconds to trail now. 0.5, back and forth between the two. 0.3, he's not going to go to the inside through turn 1. He's just going to try and get that better exit. We saw this early on where Dylan was defensive, or Mason was defensive to Dylan after that corner. Ooh, Freiberger had a... Ooh, look at that damage to the front end of his car. With that said, this battle is still raging. We're going to get some weird camera angles and change it back to weird camera angle. Dylan losing a little bit of time between turns 3 and 4. Into the braking zone they go. Hit sharp left-hander of turn 4. He's able to get right on Mason's tail. Unfortunately, not a lot of room to go for an overtake through here. Into the braking zone of turn 6, Augie's. Nothing come of that. And then through turn 7, this is where we saw Dylan end up going wide. Looks like he went wide again. He's doing that almost every lap, so he's trying too hard to gain ground on him. He ends up losing it, so hopefully he's able to catch back up. Casey Swanseger off track again. He's got Andrew Casey right behind. Andrew Casey in P3 just wants to get around Casey Swansinger, I'm sure. We'll have to see if Casey just lets him by. Like I said, though, this is still a race. This is still for points. There may be a drop race. If this ends up being the drop race, it's fine. But if it doesn't, because something else happens later on, you can still use your points from this race. So don't want to just give up those points. Andrew Casey able to get around fairly easily. He's going to continue holding that P3. It'll be awesome talking to Andrew after the race as long as he doesn't cause any self-bonks. Last 10 minutes of the race. Oppo has been one-upped on the fastest lap. The fastest lap was done by Austin Gerber with a 55.812. Like I said, Austin is definitely a rapid driver. He just had some early on bonks that moved him down. And then that long pit stop. He shouldn't have taken that long pit stop. I wonder if he was fixing damage. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. I actually don't think he had any bonks. I just think he took a long pit stop. Dylan Kaiser still putting that pressure on Mason. Alex Londar way in the back is starting to catch up to Glenn Jacobs. This camera angle is wild. It's like they just put the camera in the middle of this field and they just spin you in circles. It makes you almost kind of sick. It's cool, but it does make you kind of feel sick. Oop. Looks like Glenn was off track for a moment. Alex has gained a half a second just in that first sector of the track. Last 8 minutes of the race. We'll have to see when Ilpo decides he's going to pit. He may pit in the next lap or so. He doesn't technically have to pit until that until the 57-minute mark. So he still has a couple more laps. So I have to see. 58 is technically the length of the pit window, but he wants to be in there at 57 so he doesn't miss it. Looks like he lost another position there. Londar's fallen off from Glenn Jacobs. Ilpo all alone, 33 seconds ahead of JJ. And I believe he's built up that time on JJ. So the only way that JJ is going to be able to get around him is if his pit ends up being longer than JJ's by maybe 3 or 4 seconds. So Ilpo's going to have to, in order for JJ to get around, he's going to have to end up screwing up in the pits. That'll be the only way. With that said, nearly every car has fallen off from each other. We do have drivers back markers and ahead and behind and all of that. So E5, Mason Moffitt, we saw this battle earlier. Look at this camera angle. That's great. Thank you, ACC. Mason Moffitt and Dylan Kaiser were battling. Mason is now trying to get around that car 713 of Glenn Jacobs. Dylan Kaiser right behind. He's going to try and get around Glenn Jacobs as well. He doesn't want to be held up any longer and lose more time. Dylan has fallen off by about by a whole second now from Mason. Ilpo did have pit issues last night, so it's possible. We'll have to see. Ilpo has yet to go into the pits. The only driver that hasn't pit yet is Ilpo, regardless of what you're seeing on the screen over there. Actually turn that off so you don't have to worry about seeing that anymore. Glenn Jacobs has a yellow flag behind. Looks like he just pulled off the track and slowed down. Doesn't need to do that. Just needs to just slow down on the straight by lifting. But I think he's in a hurry to get out of the way. Glenn, you just slow down on the straights. You're not holding anybody up. Just lift on the straight. That's all you got to do. That's allowed Alex Londar to just gain on him. Get right up behind him. Ilpo's still yet to pit. He'll probably pit this lap or the next. We'll have to see. He's gained another second on JJ just in that lap. John Bramer once again catching up to CW Wells. And Alex Londar catching up to Glenn Jacobs. Those are our two battles on track right now. Into the braking zone of turn 1, Alex Londar is able to gain some ground. Not quite enough to go for the attack through turn 2. Yep, you're right. And I think that's the way Oppo's kind of been going about it. Is every race he goes in. Oh, we got yellow flag from Tonkin. It looks like he was all alone. I don't think he had any reason. Unfortunate. Looks like he's going to hold on to that P10 though. Alex Londar has a yellow flag too. Ooh. Spinning around again. There he goes. Look at this camera. Looks like a drone flying through here, trying to keep up with him. I have no idea what this camera is doing. It's just kind of wild, isn't it? With that said, Austin Gerber's caught up to Dylan Kaiser again. Dylan has fallen off from Mason quite a bit. Austin has done our fastest lap of the race, 55.812. You know he has the ability to get up and around if he's able to. I don't think Dylan's going to try and fight him too much. He may, though. It's the last 5 minutes of the race, and he doesn't want to lose any more points, so he may end up fighting him pretty hard. John Bramer. This is an ongoing battle. We've seen it multiple times. Somebody ends up missing a braking point or something, and one of them ends up in the ditch. But we'll have to see if Sean's able to get around him. Into turn one they go. I want to see when Ilpo's going to pit. Got to be this next lap. There you go. Like I said, one's in the ditch. There we go. PW Wells went off track that time. Casey Swansinger slow again. Don't really know why. Austin Gerber has gained so much ground on Dylan in that one lap. Is he going to move to the inside? He is, immediately to the inside. Dylan going for that defensive line. Austin able to get the inside line. Just temporarily. There's the spin. There's the balk. Both these drivers around. Extremely unfortunate. Austin's got to back up and try and go. It looks like Dylan was able to recover temporarily out in front. That is not what you want to see on the last couple of laps of the race. Ilpo jumping into the pits now. I have to see what happens. As he goes into the pits, he is 30 some odd seconds ahead of JJ. JJ just coming out of turn 9. We're going to jump back and forth between these two drivers. Ilpo has come to a stop. And he's going already. JJ coming around turn 11. He's not going to be able to gain on him by any means, I don't think. Final corner. Ilpo's coming out. He's allowed full speed now. He's going to stay well ahead of P11. That's nearly 10 seconds, 8 seconds ahead of JJ Burr. Because of that bonk that we saw just a little bit ago with Austin Gerber and Dylan Kaiser, Tony Danzig is now able to kind of get in the mix after not racing for a couple of laps. It looks like Tony did fix his car too, so that could be why his pit stop was longer. So Tony Danzig is going to try and gain a little bit of ground. Looks like he was slipping and sliding for a moment there. PW Wells is catching back up to Sean Bramer. We're on our last 2 minutes of the race, which means we will probably have one more lap. I think the next lap will be the final lap. Looks like everybody is kind of falling off. Andrew Casey was just slow for just a moment. Maybe that's just that part of the track that looked like it was slow. Andrew Casey still in third. So I want to put this out here. JJ Burr's pit time was 5.9 seconds. Ilpo's was 5.3. So really, really fast pit for him. Andrew Casey's was 16 seconds. And then we saw Austin Gerber in for 36.6 seconds. So he must have taken tires or fuel or something. What caused that? So I think the fastest pit stop was Tony Danzig with 4.9 seconds. So he was our fastest pit of the day. No, I take that back. Mason Moffitt was the fastest pit stop of the day. Camera can't keep up with all of these car changes. With 4.1 seconds. And unfortunately, I can't put any of that on screen for you guys, but that's what the time was.
Right, man. Leader is on the final lap.
We're on the final lap now. Ilpo's coming into turn 1 for the final corner. No more pit stops if drivers didn't complete, which we saw everybody complete. They would have been penalized otherwise. Opal's about to finish out his lap. Everybody else has kind of fallen off. You can see that gap between everybody. The closest gap we got is between Austin Gerber and Dylan Kaiser with 2 seconds. But right now, it's fairly chill, fairly relaxed. It was a good race. There was a lot of action for this race, so it was cool to see. Especially with only 19 drivers starting, finishing with 16. So, normally these races, they end up spreading out quite a bit, but I see a potential overtake opportunity going on here. It looks like it's just a back marker in the mix there. I believe that may have been Glenn Jacobs getting out of the way. Oppo coming out of turn 7 onto the Bentley straight now. He's happy with his position. He's not happy about the weather because we've been trying to get rainy days because that's why we chose the UK tracks, and every week has been forecasted to rain and then doesn't rain on race day. So I know Oppo is kind of upset about that. And we do get some rain, it may throw him for a loop, so we'll have to see what happens. But Oppo coming through the final corner now. Drew Freiberger with a yellow flag. Rejoining the track, still in 11th, not losing much time or anything from that. Oppo out of the final corner now. Down the front straight will be P1 for today's race. 8 seconds in trail. Coming out of the final corner is JJ Burr. P2 for JJ Burr. Andrew Casey still has a couple more corners to go and a back marker to get around. He's probably not going to try and get around him. He'll just chill right where he's at. It's a good place to be. E3. There he goes. Coming out the final corner now. P3 for Andrew Casey. 4 seconds in trail is Carl Banning. P5 is going to be Mason Moffitt, newcomer to the series, just joined today. And P6, 15 seconds in trail. Coming around the final corners now is Austin Gerber after his long pit stop, so he definitely could have still held that. Just wasn't able to. Got Dylan Kaiser right behind him in P7. Tony Danzig in P8. Evan Anthony coming around the final corners now. It looks like with, who is that with him? I can't click on him. It won't let me. Alex Londar right behind. And then the last driver on track in P10 is going to be Simon Talkin. Best track, says Andrew. We will be getting ready to move over to our post-race reviews. We're just going to watch Simon finish his lap. Let's get some music going. Not post-race reviews, post-race interviews. If we're doing reviews, we'd have to get James Cossaboon in here to go over his go over his stuff. Anyways, with that said, Simon Talkin coming around the final corner now in P10 overall. And that will be the end. Let's change the music up. That will be the end of race 3 at Snetterton. Let's get some of these guys in. Let's do some chatting. I'm just going to pull them if they don't come in here. I'm just going to do it. I'm pulling Andrew right now.
Go.
I was just going to pull Andrew in anyways.
Just so happy to be here. Just so happy to be here.
You came in P3. We watched your pit stop. What happened during your pit stop, Andrew?
I must have gone like 2 inches too far, and it wouldn't pick me up. So I had to turn the car, but I didn't realize it. I had turned the car back on, backed up, and then I got going. I don't know what happened with Austin. Maybe he took tires, but I didn't think I was going to beat him out of the pits.
We didn't think so either. And looking at Austin's pit time, he did a 30-second pit stop. So he must have taken tires or something.
Must have taken tires. I wonder if that was on purpose.
I have no idea.
Maybe they were falling off.
Maybe. It could have been. With that said, you did a little bit of battling early on, ended up down in 5th and then back up. How was your early battling? How did you feel?
You know, it felt pretty good, honestly. I had Mason just right on my butt for a second there. And then I just kind of slowly started pulling away. But then I couldn't catch up to Austin. I was trying to use Casey. He was in the back as a drag through all the straights, but that McLaren's just a missile with no draft, so he didn't help much. But no, it was good. Clean race and felt good to be up front.
Well, it's nice seeing you up front. We know that this is your favorite track, and it's a good car track combination with that Porsche there. So, with that said, Andrew, next week, are you going to be racing with us?
Next week?
Yep,
Should
next
be.
week. All right, it's Brands Hatch. How are you feeling?
Oh, damn. We're going from the best track of the game to the worst track of the game.
No, it is not the worst track.
It's the worst track in the game. I hate that track, and it hates me. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not excited.
Well, I'm excited to watch you race on the track. I love Brands Hatch. Let's move on to our race winner, Ilpo. Hello, how are you?
Hey.
You must be exhausted after racing in the 24 hours of Spa with ORL and then coming over here.
Yes, and also just this race in general. This was the first time I actually had to try really hard.
Well, we were watching during practice. Andrew had beat your time and he was bragging about it. So were you worried at all that maybe you weren't going to be starting podium whenever before you went to qualifying?
No.
You were worried?
No, he wasn't.
You were doing your practice in race fuel, weren't you?
Yes.
Yep.
So, okay, so I did the same lap time initially on fast track with quali fuel, and then I switched to testing race fuel and testing different brake ducts and things like that on race fuel. And I did the same lap time on race fuel, and I saw that I was like, what was it, like less than 2 tenths down. So I figured that I have enough in quali to beat that unless someone improves even more.
Well,
so I mean, a little bit worried, but not much.
Regardless of how you qualified during the race, JJ was on your tail for a good period of the race. And then it seemed he did his pit stop and got held up quite a bit. His pit stop was only like 0.5 seconds slower than yours, but ended up getting held up while you were able to stay out the majority of the rest of the race. So, with that said, go ahead.
I think pitting early. I mean, the traffic was a little bit difficult to figure out whether it's good or bad to pit a little bit early, but I couldn't because I had massive pressure problems on the right side. I got the puncture on both right tires at like 15 minutes in, and I was just managing it the whole time. And I knew that if I pit, I'm not gonna get the pressures back up because the tires cool down. And also, every time the tires cool down and heat back up, you lose a bunch of performance in the tire. So that's why I'm normally stretching it.
I think you did great. Really fast, really rapid as usual. Looking at this upcoming week's weather, there's going to be rain on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday showing partly cloudy. So we may see just another beautiful sunny day in the UK. We got Donington Park after that, so there's still a chance of rain. With all of that said, the US has been rainy. The last track of the season is Watkins Glen up in New York, so we may see some rain in the US track. I know you've been wanting rain. We're hoping to give you rain just to toss it up, but it may have just been another sunny day for you.
I will say that actually I would be okay doing brands in the dry. I really enjoyed the track.
I love the track too, but I think it would be fun to get a really narrow, fast track in the rain like that. I think it'd be fun, but I have to see what happens.
I think Donington is the one out of what we have left that I would want rain most on. I think that track is really fun in rain.
I think most tracks are fun in rain. I just suck at driving in the rain. But anyways, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for putting on a good show. Even with 19 drivers total, it was awesome to watch as usual. And any last words for anybody in the chat?
Not really. I had fun.
Carl, if you're in here, I'll see you in the back at Brands because I'm definitely not going to be in the front.
All right, let's see who we can hand this stream off to. If anybody's streaming a Assetto Corsa, we may end up sending it off to an iRacer. Who knows? Looks like we got somebody we'll hand it off to. Thank you guys for joining me in the booth. I'm going to hand this stream off to somebody named Snags29. So go show him some love. Tell him that the Noobs Are Us guys are the worst drivers you've ever raced with, because that's what we do, is we talk crap about ourselves.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys on Tuesday for the GT3 Rookies. Nico will be co-streaming that in Spanish as usual, and I will be hosting it. May be able to get Tony Danzig in there as well. But with that said, you guys have a great rest of your Sunday.
Yep.